What's up, everybody? So I know it's been a couple of months since I've been up here, but I plan on being back doing content in March when Teen Mom 2 returns, just like I did for Teen Mom Young and Pregnant last season, so stay tuned. Honestly, if you guys keep up with my Instagram, you would know it's been pretty dry lately, so not a lot has been happening, and we all know that Kail Lowry has yet another podcast. That makes, what, 3 podcasts? This one is just her by herself with having special guests on every week. The basis of the show is to be different from her other podcasts and not to have any teen moms on, but she invited her vexed ex-husband Javi on to have what seems like a therapy session because it goes left literally from the first second. Kail wants to start by telling the people why her and Javi aren't cool anymore because people have been wanting to know ever since she talked about going to therapy to not be his friend anymore on Baby Mama's No Drama. She said that she was in therapy because she cannot be Javi's friend anymore. It's just too damn toxic. And of course, that famous TikTok comment where Javi called her out for posting him and he asked her not to. So everybody been wondering, like, what's the tea? Y'all been boning and all of a sudden now it's over. Well, the real tea turned out to be that Kail dropped her son off at basketball practice with Lincoln and asked Javi could he keep an eye out on Lux so she could run some errands. I think she had to do something at the new house. She had to move something. And Tom got away from her, so Javi, of course, took Lux and Lincoln in the car with him. But he's texting Kail, mad as hell, saying, come get your kid, or I'm calling Chris. This isn't my responsibility, and blah, blah, blah. Kail said that he was being unreasonable because she was trying to tell him to just take Lux to her house and she will get him because they were all going to dinner anyway. And Javi's like, fuck that. You're trying to control the situation. So Kail, demanded an apology for that, which Javi never gave her throughout the whole hour plus podcast. He said that Lux is not his responsibility and also that Lux is a trigger for him since 2016 when everything went down with Kail and Chris and she basically had a baby on him. I mean, I'm just saying. I feel like Javi has his mood swings when it comes to Kail because he wants to be with her. And Kail brought that up several times and he's just mad because they're not together and Javi never denied it. He basically says, yes, we're not together, so I'm not going to be nice to you. It was crazy. It was a crazy moment where Kail started crying and pleading with Javi not to show up to any more of Lincoln's basketball games during the week because Lincoln likes or loves Javi more than her. And it doesn't give Kail and Lincoln maximum bonding time. It was just so toxic to listen to this shit. She wants this man to stay away from his son's practices for what? She claims Javi is overstepping and interfering with whatever is left of Lincoln's time for her to have. And Javi once again shuts her down and says, how the hell are you going to tell me to stay away from my son's sporting events? And Carlos, who is there too, but not really saying much, he's a mutual friend. He's trying to mediate, but he's literally lost in a toxic sauce and it's so crazy. She also made a statement that Javi is worse than Chris Lopez because even though Chris Lopez physically beat her, Javi, on the other hand, has mentally abused her and degrades her as a parent. So he's way worse. And Javi really had no rebuttal for the evil things that he says to Kail through text message, I guess. He just says that he's a grown-ass man and he's not going to let her talk to him anyway and tell him what to do anymore. So she brings up an incident where right after Come Get Your Kid's Son, Gates, they were in the same city traveling for Lincoln's basketball game, and she didn't speak to Javi or even look at him all day, and he later invited her to hibachi. Like everything was okay. And he's like, yeah, I did that because you're my child's mother. Let's turn this off in front of Lincoln. He can feel it. You don't think that Lincoln feels when it's hostility. And we've all seen it on Teen Mom too. Kail has a notion of like when she's upset with you, you don't exist to her. And the kids definitely pick up on that shit. I think it's real petty. I think that she needs to have, these co-parenting skills need to be laid out in therapy because I really don't know what her therapist is telling her, but walking around like your child's father doesn't exist in front of them is not healthy. Like she's been doing this shit, okay? Pretty much I feel like being in contact through email is not healthy either. Like that's not a healthy co-parenting, and I feel really bad for Chris and Javi if they have to go through this shit where we can't even talk on the phone decent because we're gonna get in a fucking argument. So then Kail starts hammering him about going to therapy. She says that, Javi, you need help. When is the last time you went to therapy? When is the last time you went to church? Just getting all into his personal business. And he's like, that's my business. I'm not telling you or the world that. He basically put Kail in her place for this whole entire time. But I honestly don't think it was real. Javi was very, very stern in his answers. And I've never seen that side of Javi, like really standing up to Kail to this extent. You know what I'm saying? And then I get on Instagram and he's promoting the podcast. Like, he's promoting the hell out of the podcast. And she's putting old pictures of when they were married and getting along all up on the podcast. And they're in videos together talking about, oh, we trending. Oh, we number 13. So I'm just like, was this even real? Or was this so Kail could get her sponsorships for the podcast that she doesn't have yet?
Who are you?
Look who came strolling in. Is the
Say hi, Big Lows.
It's Big Lows.
Everyone should go listen to what? Really? You're not going to promote my podcast episode?
Barely Famous. Episode 2.
Episode 2. Big
Best
Lows.
one so far.
And jalapeno.
Big Daddy?
Oh my God.
Now, a couple people do feel the same way and feel that they might have faked this argument so Kail could trend the fucking internet and maybe even break it, which she tried to do. I think she did. Her podcast is like at number 9 right now. So a lot of people are thinking the same thing, that this argument was faked, because if somebody said that about my son and said, oh yeah, your son is a cool kid, but you know, I'm still triggered by the fact that you cheated on me with a dude in 2016, so I really don't want nothing to do with him. You think I'm gonna be cool and laughing with him the next day after I done blessed his ass out on this podcast? No. You said you were in therapy so you wouldn't be friends with Javi, yet y'all still making these sexual jokes about Big Daddy, this, that, and the third, and you putting old wedding photos up on your Instagram after he said something about your child like that you were so mad about that you demanded an apology for the entire podcast and you didn't get one. If I know Kail Lowry, Mrs. Cut him off that I know from the TV, she would have cut Javi ass off too, but for some reason she can't. So either this argument is fake or they really just in love with each other. I don't know. But if you guys listen to the podcast, tell me what you think, because it was a hot ass mess, fake or not.